Let's play a game, just me and you. Any of this mean anything to you?
Aloha! Welcome to Cyntillating Reviews, and today we will be reviewing The Batman. Now, I'll be honest, I was prepared for disappointment with The Batman because the last Batman solo film I saw, The Dark Knight Rises, I was prepared for it to fail. I was prepared to not get my hopes up for any successes with The Batman just because The Dark Knight Rises, I'm sorry, was trash. I did not care for it 1 second. I thought they made Bane, they made him like very smart. They made him very intelligent and genius. Whereas somebody born from the 90s, all she knew Bane was somebody who was like very like, he was rude, he was tough, he was like strong and just throwing things out of the way. That is kind of what threw away The Dark Knight Rises for me, and I just didn't care for the story the way that it did for me with The Batman, and it just kind of brought my hopes down for any chance of the Batman films. And somebody told me, I think you will like The Batman, I know what you like, you're gonna love this. You dare tell me that you know me and you think that I would like a darker, better, like, in a way, sensation feel of something that was already adapted? Well, you're goddamn right. I was blown away with The Batman. Now, I'll be quite honest, the first half hour just didn't kind of get me a little bit, but we did pick on really quick with the story. And this Batman was very angsty. I think just because it had a little bit to do with this counterpart of a Bruce Wayne played by Robert Pattinson. And he's a pretty young Batman compared to, when we saw like Michael Keaton, George Clooney, and I feel like a little bit did have something to do with that. But, we don't really see Bruce Wayne. We saw Batman. The story, it did kind of split into two different ways. We were focusing on the Riddler, who is killing like these high like politicians and lawyers, and they all have a connection with him. And we're also talking with the Penguin as well, and including in the cast is Selina Kyle, or Catwoman. And I'm sorry, I mean, in a way, I kind of understand, the mask of Selina Kyle, but I think we could have done maybe just a little bit better on that. But Gotham in this realm of the Batman was what is the way to say it? It's almost like high crime. It's almost like high, I wouldn't live there. And it's a dirty form of this. Gotham is probably like maybe the dirtiest in the city. It is high crime rate, high killing rate, high, anything that you can think of. And I like how the Batman calls himself, I'm Vengeance, not the Batman, because he is, vengeance. And it's a little hard to, like I said, it is a little hard to follow the story just because it did split to different things. But I did watch The Batman by myself. My husband was not involved, just because he agreed with the idea that we could not get our hopes up for any Batman solo film after the disappointment of The Dark Knight Rises. Was time really necessary though? Because for The Batman, the runtime was 2 hours, 56 minutes, and 48 seconds long. Now that's running almost 3 hours, and it is the exact time run, including the credits. There really was no post-credit scene. We just kind of had a little thing at the end, like a message from the Riddler on the computer where he's like, goodbye. But before you get to the end, you have Edward Nashton, the Riddler. He's in Arkham Asylum, and next to him, or Arkham Hospital, I guess, and next to the cell is the Joker. So I could see maybe a possible sequel with the Riddler and the Joker. Now, this form of Batman is dark. It is very, very dark. The atmosphere, it's all serious. It's not like The Dark Knight Rises, and with the kind of Joker that we had. I don't really have anything else to say about the atmosphere. It is dark. It is not like, in a way bright. My hair stood in some of the scenes that occurred. It's like, my gosh, I can't believe it. And I think I saw just a few comparisons of scenes between The Dark Knight and the Batman. I felt like some of it was just a little bit of copy and paste to it. I don't know if it was intentional or not. That was just something that I noticed as a viewer. And this review was kind of rushed. There really is no point that I can break in and get into detail about the Batman, just because, again, like I said, the story splits in different ways. The first half hour was kind of meh to me. I couldn't jump into it right away. I think some of the characters were very interesting, some that I just did not really care for. I think Robert did really well playing Bruce Wayne, and the Riddler he was very intelligent. He's not like the Riddler, that we've seen to Jim Carrey's counterpart of it. It's almost terrace-y kind of feel, but he's playing more with like riddles and mind games, and it's kind of interesting how they left the deleted scene out with the Joker, and it did make sense to leave that scene out, just because it did kind of beat the punchline of who the Riddler was, and to answer more of the Batman's questions and what he's after. It took a lot of things to turn for the worse. It did strike nerves for a lot of people. I'm surprised this did not get an R-rated film, but just because of some of the content that was in it. But it was so minimum to make it into a PG-13 film that I can kind of see it. But I think if they pushed any more buttons for certain characters, then, for them to react the way that they were going to react, then we could have made it into an R-rated film. So the budget for the Batman was around $185 to $200 million. The box office by itself, just in the month of March, it has made $758.9 million. So, and I can see the rating was really, really high for the Batman. It was probably one of the better Batman films. I think you could push away The Dark Knight Rises. Let's not remember that existed. Nobody knows what that is. I feel like it could be a little bit on par with The Dark Knight. Batman Begins, it was kind of to me. Take your pick. And what's kind of interesting is that it features a class conflict, and you have three primary characters that meet that class conflict, which is the Batman, the Riddler, and Catwoman. All three of them have different views and sights of them just growing up. Batman, grew up, or Bruce Wayne, he grew up in like a high privilege, society, and the Riddler only knew nothing but like torment and abuse, hence is his cynical and his sadistic games. Catwoman experienced, or Selena Kyle, she experienced a whole lot of like hardship, and I think it made it a little bit harder with like her roommate and her girlfriend, and her bisexuality. So the Batman is intended and planned to be a beginning of a new trilogy, involving new villains and involving new characters, and who knows if the Justice League is going to be involved or not. I and myself have not seen the Justice League. I don't know if my husband and I will see the Justice League, just because there are, there were just things about it that was very like up to par when we saw different people's reviews on it. We really did debate. We really did go back and forth if we wanted to see the Justice League or not, but we ultimately decided not to see it. And especially now with the controversy of Ezra Miller, who played Flash. And you know, I think, you know, honestly, in my opinion, get the first guy from CW, The Flash, to quit recasting characters. I'm sure there's like reasons for it and contracts and whatever, but don't do that. Don't do that. No, don't do that. The Batman did bring my hopes up a little bit. Again, as a solo film, it did well. Again, some of the style of characters I was just not into. The Riddler was amazing. They made the Riddler as dark as they could, as cynical as they could. The Penguin had like a small funny moment. There was only maybe one funny moment in the Batman where Gordon and Batman kind of like they handcuffed the Penguin and like tied his legs and stuff. And when Gordon and Batman was like running to the next like part before, or running to the next like location to catch the Riddler, the Penguin was like waddling, and I thought it was genius because it quote unquote hence the name the Penguin, but that was only like 5 seconds, so that was the only thing that we had there. So I'm pretty happy with the Batman. I would have to give it maybe a 4 out of 5. It did stand to par for everybody. I was not a fan of the runtime. I felt like there were maybe 2 stories at once, but I could see how, you know, we have kind of like almost like an open end for the Penguin when we have an ending for the Riddler, but I think it's going to be open again in the possible sequel when we see the Riddler. I think the Riddler may come back when Batman needs to interrogate maybe one of his past villains to help with a current crime. So the Riddler targets Gotham's elites, the Batman came in, and the ending kind of had like a happy ending, not really happy ending. Gotham is like kind of submerged. It's kind of trying to form back into as a great city as it once was, despite, you know, high crime rates, high all this other stuff. Me and my husband really did talk about it, and we just ultimately decided to wait for it to come out on HBOMax. So it was a month later after the Batman made distribution in theaters, but you know, I can say it was worth the wait. I don't mind going back to watching the Batman again, and I may have my husband come in this time just to see his thoughts of it, but we'll kind of take it as is. So one step at a time. So what do you guys think of the Batman? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe to Cyntillating Reviews, help me make it grow. I want to see something come out of it. Guess what, guys? We did it. I made it to 200 subscribers. So thank you guys so much. And as promised, I will go ahead and start working on Ghost Stories. And Ghost Stories was a request from my husband's friend. In Japan, it did okay, but in America, it earned its profits. So we made it to 100 subscribers. Now I'm going to go ahead and jump into Ghost Stories just to kind of see why the English dubbing made a success. 250 subscribers. I will review and possibly react to When Blackbirds Fly, and the producer and writer and director was by Jimmy Screamer Claus, who was responsible for Where the Dead Go to Die, and that was Cyntillating Review's very first review in this channel. Too many people have lost their lives, and too many of my family members have been affected by this. And while the vaccines are out for those that truly need it, until it is our turn, our simplest prevention is our biggest protection. Please take care of yourselves as you practice social distancing, washing hands, and staying at home. Let's try to make the world better by starting to make us better to reduce the spread of COVID-19. See you later on another day.